So, hey, guess what? Jesse Singal called into the Majority Report, and I managed to find it. Let's just watch Sam and Emma systematically destroy this loser, this goddamn transphobic nerd. Let's go. Let's go.
Make it happen.
All right, we'll look into it. I appreciate the phone call. Ronald Reagan, ladies and gentlemen. Ronald Reagan. There you go. We have time for one more call?
Like recently, like a couple days ago, yeah.
We'll try this one. Call from 617, another Boston
Hey,
area
man, it's
code.
Jesse Singal.
Oh, it's Jesse Singal. Hello, Jesse.
How's it going, man?
Good. We can't hear you very well. Can you speak into your phone?
Yeah. Are you on the headphones?
Hold on one sec. Is that any better?
Not great, but we can try and can we put them up a little bit? All right, Jesse. So you wanted to call him for a while. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, thanks to Emma. She's going to come on my podcast, Blocked and Reported. I appreciate that. It takes some guts to do that, given our disagreements. But I'm basically just like calling in because I committed to doing so. I'm a little bit.
You don't feel. You should not feel obligated whatsoever. I'm perfectly willing to. I didn't consider it a commitment. I wasn't anticipating it. So don't feel in any way obligated whatsoever.
I think it's okay. I do feel.
Sam's just like, jeez, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this today. Hey, Brains and Goldfish.
Obligated. I said I would do it. I want to honor that. But I feel like Twitter causes a lot of division and drama, and I've contributed to it. I just think there's probably
I would agree with that.
A fair.
People are saying that Sam and Emma didn't approach this debate in good faith. I mean, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I think there's probably a fair amount we agree on some of the stuff you guys discuss, including just how bad it is to try to ban youth gender medicine. That was something I wrote about in May of 2020, before it was a national story. I also think there's probably some areas where there's a little bit
debate. It's a call-in. He called in to debate them.
Disagreement, but they tend to be edge cases. Just stuff where there's probably going to have to be some, debate and compromise. But I think at the end of the day, I don't know. I've been writing about science for a decade, and
what do you mean by youth gender medicine?
But here's the thing.
Clarify that, please,
Jesse. I just want to make something clear. I don't care where we agree on. That is, I can't tell you how irrelevant it is to me what we agree on, whether it's in the context of trans stuff, whether it's in the context of any other politics. Wholly irrelevant. I don't care what kind of person you are. I don't care what your belief system is. None of that is relevant. The reason why I think you are toxic and at best extremely unhelpful in this area is that you distort the importance of this issue.
Oh, fuck. You know what? Majority Report don't miss. I love that Sam just identifies his bullshit here. It's really refreshing. It's really refreshing. He's just like, nah, I think you're just a bad person. We don't have to debate it. You're just kind of bad. Yeah.
And are so fervent at pointing out this minutia that I consider minutia in the face of what is actually happening on the ground. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. That's not
just real quick. Just as this is playing, I'm just in the back of my head just going like,
you, but it's an analogy, and it's an extreme one. But that's
Hey, just because we have limited time, could we just keep this to stuff I've written that you have?
no,
That you disagree
because
with, so
I
can
don't
address it?
because no, it's not even
don't
there's
know.
a specific no, because it's not even that
Okay.
there's a specific thing that I take issue with, because that in some ways is exactly what the like indicative of the same problem. And I will do this. Is like, I know that you feel that you are just writing stuff that you think is accurate, very technically accurate, that your issue was in insisting and in highlighting this clip that no one had seen really until you promoted it. That in the words saying that
He's just
when Matt said,
eviscerating him.
Your lies were cited by Republican attorney generals. For whatever reason, when we did this email exchange and you put out a little clip of it, you didn't use, you said conservatives. I was confused by that because maybe I thought you were talking about something different. But my issue with you, what you do, okay, is best summed up in this analogy. And again, this is an analogy that's extreme, but it makes the case, is that back in 2004, there was a writer who wanted to argue, and you remember what was happening in 2004, 2005 in Iraq. Maybe it was before your time, I'm not sure. Who wanted to argue that there is nuance in the context of the torture debate. And by, sort of showing that within the context of the torture debate, there were nuanced instances where the idea of saying that torture is bad is inaccurate because there were nuanced instances where that was okay. And I think the headline was in defense of torture. And it was published on the Huffington Post at a time where
that's
you...
grotesque. That's completely grotesque.
Yes, I'm sure. I use this example because I knew you would think it was grotesque. But why is it grotesque? Because this writer claimed that, like, look, I wasn't...
Sam about the hammer this guy.
Can you just give me something to latch onto? A problem you have with my work, not with the work of someone.
Well, I'm explaining it to you. You don't want to engage in it. I will explain it to you. The reason why it's
I'm trying to engage in it.
Okay. The reason why it's grotesque to me in that instance is because it's one thing to sort of like create a thought experiment where you could argue there are instances where torture is a legitimate choice. But it is another to do it.
Torture is not a legit, but torture.
I'm not saying that you are. I'm not saying that you are, Jesse. In fact, no, Jesse. I am using torture as an example so that you will understand my problem with your writing. I know that you think torture is abhorrent. That's why I'm using this as an example. There is no doubt in my mind that you agree with me totally on this perspective of torture. But let me finish so I can explain to you.
My actual work.
I'm going to...
My work.
Okay.
Okay, you'll get to it, I guess.
I will. I promise. This is much quicker. I'll be done by now. In promoting that, in that instance, in a moment when torture is on the front pages of the news, regardless of whether there was merit to the philosophical argument about the value of torture, which I would agree, and I'm convinced that you would think is abhorrent, period. What that article does is it gives cover for people who were promoting torture in places outside of Huffington Post. The writer is basically positing that they have no impact on this public debate, because I believe that if you are writing in this manner and you are promoting ideas in this manner in public, then you must take responsibility not just for the specific content as the letters, but its impact and how it's heard and how it's used in a political struggle that is going on.
I fucking love Sam. He's so good. He's so good.
And I suggest that when you say the Republicans, AGs, who cited my material in the Atlantic, did so and twisted it in a way that it meant something different than it did, that at the very least, you would realize that you are being used as a means to attack trans people and to attract to attack.
But that's why 4 days. But that's why 4 days after they put that brief out, I did a Substack post saying lying about my work.
I'm glad that you did a Substack post. In fact, that same torture guy has a whole page on his, at that time, I think it was Medium, as to why this is being misinterpreted. But do you know how many people saw the HuffPost thing versus saw that Medium thing? This is what we call in sales a funnel. I don't know why I say we, because I'm not in sales, but I read enough about it.
You're saying that a lot of people saw this fairly obscure brief over a technical aspect of Affordable Care Act enforcement. That's your argument, that was like a viral Huffington Post article?
Are you suggesting in any way, Jesse, that your work hasn't been cited over and over again by people saying, like, even the liberal Jesse Singal says that this is
get him,
there's
Sam.
Problem here.
Get him.
I mean, so the problem is that, with all due respect, I explained to you in the email like exactly what they did. My article said
you didn't even say when I said Republican AGs. I specifically asked you. Now you didn't publish this part of the email. You only published like the first line of it for whatever reason. But I asked you when I wanted to clarify this and catching up on it. What was defamatory? Because I think your words were straightforwardly defamatory about Matt Leck saying that your lies were cited by Republican AGs. And then you wrote back something about a tweet exchange you had with Matt about conservatives. For whatever reason, you wouldn't acknowledge that this Republican AG thing was.
No, I know, but we're referring to the same legal document. And I pointed
well, I didn't know that because you didn't say anything about that legal. I can read the email right now if you want to clarify
Sam,
that.
Sam,
because it seemed really manipulative of you to pretend that you had explained this to me and saying, you know, when whatever the tweet storm that you were trying to get going, when in fact I said Republican AG and you said conservatives, some conservatives.
Sam, I think you're a little bit trying to talk over me because I'm making a very basic point here.
Okay, go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay. I emailed you. I pointed out that this brief said.
No, you did not use the words brief. I did not use. You did not use the words brief, Jesse. That's why.
I mean, Jesse, if you want to get specific, you got specific about the fact that a viewer wrote in and said that you cited one part of this written document by that woman, what was her name, Jamie Reed, that you didn't cite. Yep. And so if we want to be specific, then be specific about what you said to Sam in this email.
Okay, let me read this because you're now claiming that you said the word brief or you said the word attorney because I asked you.
Hey, sorry, we've been talking about the same document all the time. You can either.
Well, I didn't know this.
Why did
I didn't know this. Jesse, I don't know your stuff from Adam. I don't care. I said I'm unclear. Let me make this clear.
You don't know my stuff.
I'll tell you what. We'll put this up because we'll put this up.
Oh, you do know my stuff.
No. We will put up our exchange because you're mischaracterizing our exchange right now, just like you did on Twitter.
Get his ass.
I'm happy to explain it.
Well, no. I get it now because I've had to go back and try and understand what you were talking about.
Now you get it. Okay.
But you are even in this call mischaracterizing our exchange, and this is what you do. This is my experience of you. You keep saying that people misunderstand me, and Sam said he was going to do this and this and that, and you're the one who creates the confusion. I don't know if you do it on purpose or if you do it because you're trying to obscure some agenda. I don't know. I don't care.
I think it's more that I sort of cleared this up 4 years ago, but none of you guys have read that post, and you keep referring to it. And that's why I'm just trying to get
I don't care about that post.
30 seconds. No, I know you don't care about it, but I'm just trying to get 30 seconds to explain what happened, which you can choose not to grant me that 30 seconds, but just...
I'm going to give you 30 seconds.
Okay. They cited my work to say that gender medicine doesn't help trans adults. My work described that gender medicine as life-saving, and it quoted multiple trans adults who found it life-saving. So you can't read my article.
How late in the
and then
piece,
say it
Jesse?
didn't
Have you
support
heard of
gender
the
medicine.
principle of journalism, where
Get
essentially
him,
you're
Emma.
supposed?
Piece,
you're-
Emma.
No.
Emma,
How
this
late?
was at the top
How
of
late into the piece?
Top of the piece.
How late into the piece,
Top
Jesse?
of the piece.
Jesse, I'm looking at this section that you sent me about, like, for sure, trans affirming care. This paragraph. There's 3,500 words in front of it. The section that you clipped for me.
Yeah, so you would think that the more obvious point, just basic rules of
Well,
journalism.
wait a
I
second.
know you're a
wait a second. I
journalist.
want to hear
No.
this. Was it 3,500 words in, or was it at the top of the piece?
Yeah, which part?
It was 3,500 words into a 12,000 word piece, so it was near the top.
It was in the top 25% of a 12,000 word piece. Okay.
Right. As
Yeah.
opposed to, I mean, Jesse, have you not in your work
Outside of 25%.
emphasize certain specific cases that are outside of the trend of the overwhelming data that shows that gender affirming care for youth is effective and helps reduce suicidal ideation and is important, and that the sister myth essentially is a small edge case? Have you not focused on that a disproportionate amount versus the overwhelming other elements of data that I just described?
I know that this is entirely just like nothing useful is getting said really out of any of this, except I'm experiencing extreme catharsis. So get 'em.
Oh, but what you just said isn't true. There is an overwhelming evidence these treatments.
There is. I'm looking. Okay, have you read the Journal of Pediatrics and their clear results on this front, where they looked at children,
Yeah, you're
youth,
talking about
over
a Jack
5
Turban
years?
paper. I've written two long. No, so you're talking about Christina Olson's paper, not Jack Turban's paper. I apologize. Christina Olson's paper took a group of kids who transitioned early, social transition.
Yep.
She found that 93% of them 5 years in were still in that socially transitioned role, but none of them were diagnosed with gender dysphoria. So you can't compare that to the question I'm interested in, which is whether these treatments help alleviate gender dysphoria, because we don't know if the kids in Olson's sample had gender dysphoria.
You're using outdated terminology to talk about children who are already socially transitioning and showing that that is effective, and they're consistent after that 5-year period in their transition.
This is just an objective matter of fact. What you just said,
This is
Christina
pedantic.
Olson
Do you
cited-
believe that
doesn't even
it
address the
is.
question.
Do you believe that gender affirming care works and is overwhelmingly effective with children? Do you believe it?
I am with the 5 European countries who have looked into this question closely, and all of them are like, we don't know yet. We need more data. So no, it's not established.
Okay.
It is established.
All right. Well, so you don't believe
It's
it.
not established.
No, but you just changed the question that she asked you.
I'm not
There's
sure
no
yet.
doubt.
I'm a
Listen,
science journalist.
listen.
I have to go on the data.
We are aware. I am aware that the Dutch protocol is no longer being used in these 5 European countries, and that they're looking at more data. I'm also aware of like hundreds of situations where Europeans and Americans have different protocols, and
Yeah.
part of that process in which there is some broad agreement is that doctors work this stuff out. You clearly have an agenda, and you recoil at the idea that people suggest that you have an agenda. Now, you think that your agenda,
get 'em,
agenda is founded in a science that is not available to other people. And I'm suggesting, like,
Get
look,
'em,
I have no
dude.
problem
You
with
guys are
doctors.
it's totally available to you guys.
No.
No, you're not.
No,
It's available to me now.
It
the
is
Journal of
completely obscure to
Pediatrics.
us because, as you've said on your show,
Sorry, you guys are talking one. Can you just talk one at a time? I can't hear
sure.
my shitty speaker.
Because as you've said on your show, we're doing this just to A, make cash, and B, seen as like more righteous than other people. I've listened to at least part of one of your shows. And so I know that you said this. I know you said this, Jesse. I know that you feel this. Now, I do not attribute to you some type of like intent. I don't know that you're making cash off this or what it is. I just see what the impact of what you do is, and I think it's reprehensible. And that's it.
Well, but I've already explained to you guys.
No, I'm not just talking about limited
instance you
to.
raised of that was misinterpreted, and you
It's okay,
changed
boiled
the
peanuts,
debate
he is.
into. Okay, you did say that, but it wasn't high enough.
Hey,
And it's
listen,
weird because
Jesse,
you
I didn't
wanted to
say
fight
anything in the
people
beginning.
about
I wouldn't have known
Sorry
about this, and no one would have known about it except for your insistence that it was straightforwardly defamatory that you had been cited by Republican AGs and that what had been cited was lies. And you said to me in an email it was straightforwardly defamatory. I got news for you. You don't know what the word straightforwardly means, and I'm not sure you know what the word defamatory means.
Look, I never claimed to be. It could just be you guys are smarter than me on this stuff, but I would just. Do you think the sentence in that legal brief?
What a dishonest little freak, dude. It could be you guys are just smarter than me on this. What? Uh-huh. Yeah. The faux attitude.
Accurately describes my work. That's all I'm asking.
What sentence?
I don't know.
The sentence that there's no consensus that transition alleviates gender dysphoria. Do you think that accurately describes my?
That quote was that quote from your.
You can pull it up. It's right there. We've been.
Was that quote from your piece?
Well, Jesse, then let me just ask you directly once again. Do you believe that the established standards of care in the United States are effective and should be implemented to help children as they begin to transition in their youth?
The standards of care say that kids should get like 1 to 2 years of therapy before they transition. So that might be too conservative, but yeah, something like that.
Okay, so what's the issue?
So then what's the problem?
Those are the new standards of care. The question is whether people are following them.
Okay, well, you know what?
I doubt Emma.
But the evidence that you've shown, the Jamie Reed whistleblower, bro, has been discredited over and over again, and you wrote a whole write-up about that.
She hasn't been discredited?
Not been discredited?
Hold on, a couple things. Guys, one thing at a time. Emma.
Wait, she hasn't been discredited?
Can we finish it?
Well, can I just be clear on what you said?
I'm happy to talk to you.
She has not been discredited.
Let me finish my point.
Okay, wait.
Okay, let me finish.
You just said something. I just want to. I was talking over you. I just want to make sure you said it. Jamie Reed has not been discredited in your mind.
I'm happy to address this. I just want to finish up the thing about the standards of care because I think that's super important, actually.
You didn't say this. I'm just curious about what you said just a couple of seconds ago on this show.
I'd like to finish.
Hey, dude, I got a big guest that's coming up in a minute.
Has Jamie Reed been discredited or no?
Emma, it sounds to me that you think kids should get 1 to 2 years of
has Jamie Reed, who was not intimately involved?
She has not been discredited.
Oh, that's interesting to me. That's interesting because, I mean, we've got to run, but people can look this up. There have been lies over and over proven that she has put out there, which you took at face value.
When you come on the show, can we just get a little bit more specific about the SSD stuff?
Honestly, dude, I mean, look, I want to engage in good faith, and we have now had this conversation, and to be honest with you, like, I don't back down from anybody, but I really think you should just have a trans person on or an activist or someone of that kind, because I cover a bunch of issues on this program. We cover politics on a daily basis from different perspectives. And
okay, so you're backing out, though, is what you're saying.
Sure. I to be honest with you,
based upon your original complaint to me, I will, as a boss, I will suspend her if she goes on the show.
We had a back and forth over email. We couldn't.
You called
find
the manager.
Time, and
you didn't get the response.
I don't want to give this more life.
You're backing out. It's unfortunate. I was hoping to have you on because
Jesse, if that's what you want to hang your hat on, have a good rest of the week, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, we appreciate the call, Jesse.
Yeah, couldn't care less. Thank you. Bye.
Top of the piece,
all right, let's get into a serious debate.
Yes, here we go.
What's that?
No,
you're going to come around
here. We're
going
to take a break, and then we'll put you on.
Well, wait. If it comes around this side, or do you want to wear your mask and walk around that way? Okay.
10 out of 10. Excellent. That's honestly the best way to deal with these people. It's to remind them that they're deeply unserious, that they are not worthy of your time.